Welcome back, everybody, to the Barroom Boys. I am your host today, believe it or not, Gary, and I am here with my good old pal, Ryan Hodska. Hod, how are you doing today?
Doing all right, Gary. Not too
Yeah?
bad. Could be a lot
Anything
worse than
special this
this.
weekend?
Um, let's see, kind of recapping. No, it was actually pretty rainy all weekend, so I couldn't really do anything. Um, Sunday I had a doubleheader in basketball. That was basically the highlight of my day.
Yeah.
I had a really nice block, like a chase down LeBron-esque block, but we lost both games by a decent amount of points in both.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, it's the whole point of playing in like a beer league where it's supposed to be fun, and then you just get showed up and get like 40 pieced every week, but it's okay. We get a
It's
free
called a
beer
beer league?
afterwards. Yeah, it's like an adult league, like a men's league. And it's like this at this place, and that's where I do like my soccer league, and they have like a soccer beer league too, where it's basically you play a game and then after they have like a bar, and if you're like wearing your team shirt, you get a free beer anytime you go to the bar. So we just all go like after with every team and just get a drink and sit there and chill. But in basketball, it's just so much more like competitive compared to soccer because at least soccer, like it's a lot more friendly, I guess. Basketball is just everyone's on each other's heads. Like I almost started like a fight in one of the games because of my block. It was funny, but
Sure.
yeah,
What would you
I was
say is like the average like age of the people that compete in that league?
It's all different. My team's definitely the youngest team, and we're also not trying to be racist, but the whitest team. Um, but there's like teams that are like basically dads that are like probably like early mid 40s if I had to guess. A lot of the teams are probably like 26, 27, 28-year olds. Um, but it kind of just varies. Like some games are close and good, and those are the games that I like showing up to. And then like there was one game where I think we I didn't show up to this game because I was in Cincinnati, but we lost by 70. So it's just it's
Oh, wow.
tough. Yeah.
I mean, I guess if there's one game that you didn't want to be at, it's that one.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. No. No one wanted to go to that game, but I was like the only one with like a legit excuse because I was not in the state. So I was like, yes. But yeah. But my block,
Gentlemen,
nasty.
What
What's
up?
up, Mondo?
oh, how we doing?
Chilling.
Good.
Just doing our intro right now.
Yeah. How
All
was
right.
your event today?
It was great, man. I was hanging out with Buster Olney, one of ESPN's MLB insiders, just kind of shooting the shit, picking his brain about everything from like the upcoming season to rule changes, potential big deals happening. The guy is fucking awesome. He's a cool ass dude, and he lives in Montana, bro.
Does he really? That's kind of
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, you do great at your job, but why the hell are you in Montana, man? And he's
yeah.
just like, I don't know. I kind of like the peacefulness of it. There's no traffic, and I go, yep, you sold me. I hate traffic too.
I
But
mean, yeah, I guess that's fair. I mean, he's on his phone the majority of the time. So,
yeah, it was unreal, and there was so much like different stuff he was talking about. Like he's gonna be big on the Orioles these upcoming next 3 to 5 years, just like I am.
mhm.
Just all the young players they have. It's the guy's just full of knowledge, and it's crazy just to hear him talk about it.
Nice. Was it just him at the event? You see like the key.
So he was the key speaker. He spoke for fucking an hour and a half. So I
Mm,
literally just got in the car.
nice.
Um, Yeah, I probably shouldn't be on this and talking, but I just want to stop in and say hi. I'm gonna try and be back on for the draft portion, assuming I'm home by then. Um,
Sounds
but
good.
you guys can continue on. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Peace, Mondo.
Peace.
All right. How was your weekend, Gare? Isn't it spring break?
That's like, you know what that whole conversation reminded me of is like when you're like, I don't know, like out with the boys and your girlfriend calls you and you gotta like just tighten up for a second and just listen to what she has to say until she's
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm gonna let you go now. Like that was what that entire thing just reminded me of. I was just sitting there being quiet, like, but yeah, like my weekend was pretty good. Can't complain. We got another Rec Room episode that dropped, so check that out if you haven't seen it yet. Especially if you like tennis. Big tennis guy. His name's just Sean. He was pretty cool to talk to.
Nice.
But yesterday, I think, oh, Saturday, I also went to the Grant Seafood Festival, so that was cool because my uncle and grandma came to town from Kentucky.
Dope.
Um, and then yesterday, I kind of just took the day to just like reorganized my life. I cleaned my room, I cleaned the house, I cleaned my car, got some groceries.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a good day.
Nice. All right. Shall we get into it?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. I guess a lot of the headlines this week or this past weekend were a lot of NFL based. We could start the NFL Combine was last week. We kind of touched on it a little bit beforehand, but not so much during. Um, just kind of to recap, in my opinion, I thought this year's Combine was pretty hit or miss. Like there wasn't that many like great accomplishments besides a couple that we'll get to in a second. But I feel like I don't know, it just didn't have as much hype around it this year, and there weren't too many like standout guys besides a few, such as Xavier Worthy breaking the NFL combine record in the 40, running a 4.22, which was ridiculous. But I feel like a lot of it was like Luke McCaffrey kind of stole the show, running a 40 faster than his brother, CMC. Or when it came to the quarterbacks, a lot of them kind of opted out or didn't really throw too well and kind of just played it safe and didn't want to get injured. But what were your thoughts, Gary?
First of all, I want to touch on the quarterback situation. I'm tired of this opting out thing, bro.
Mhm.
Everybody opts out of everything nowadays, bro. And it's like, why do we even have it if the
Yeah.
stars and the people that we want to see and the people, that the people want to see, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They just aren't there. They don't compete. I mean, this is
Well,
just
no,
kind of,
that's the thing because they are there because the combine's not only just to like put yourself in front of like everyone else on like a national stage to see your times, but it's also the chance to like you get like to spend like 20 minutes with every single coach that wants to speak with you. So like Caleb Williams was there. He was at the combine. He was in Indianapolis. He was in the building talking with teams, but he just chose not to participate. So like that was the thing that pissed me off because it's like he's expected to go number one. We want to see his tape. He didn't have the best senior year, but we know what he's capable of. We might as well throw. Like the most like Penix did a good job. I think his draft stock improved from it. I mean, Drake May, I'm already iffy on him, but like Daniels didn't do anything. JJ McCarthy had a good one, but that was really it.
yeah. But like I was saying, I just think it's kind of ridiculous at this point, especially for Caleb Williams, bro. Caleb Williams is low-key a pussy. Like that might be a really hot take, but like he just moves in such a different way than like most athletes slash celebrities do. Like he's very like ominous about everything, and he never really answers a question fully. And then like, and then you have the draft and he doesn't even play. Like it's just really weird how he moves and like how he's so confident and like
Yeah.
he's gonna go number one. Like I really just wonder what he's been doing behind the scenes development wise. Because like he was hurt all last year and then
Yeah.
he says, oh, like I don't want to get hurt, so I'm not gonna throw in this combine. But
Mhm.
like people have to be thinking, is he like good? Like, can he still
Yeah.
throw after taking that long of a break? Like, Because there comes a time where this happens. I feel like every single draft, there's those people that come in that are huge, and that will make a name for themselves for the rest of their career. But then
Mhm.
there are those people that get drafted and they're playing on a team for a year. They get let off into free agency, and then they fall into the fucking abyss, and you just never hear from them again. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious to see what ends up happening with Caleb Williams because of that, because he's just so confident that he's just going to be one of the best to ever do it. And I really don't think he's all that. I mean, he's good, but
Oh, yeah. I agree with that 110%. That was a great take. I just think he's already like thinking of himself as like a dominant player in the NFL when he was in dominant this past year in college football when he was supposed to be like a back-to-back Heisman winner essentially, and like he's already basically a shoo-in for the number one pick. He doesn't feel like he needs to prove anything, and he's already just focused on the next level. It just shows his level of arrogance, and in terms of when he saw that like Bryce Young and CJ Stroud and like the quarterbacks from last class declared, he's like, all right, I'm the only good quarterback left. And like I'm a shoe in to do anything. I can sit out games. I can do whatever the hell I want. I'm already like done with USC. I'm moving on to the NFL, even though he couldn't because of his eligibility. He had to play this last year. Um, but yeah, I just think it's very sketchy and that he's already moving so quickly and thinking about himself so cocky. I think he's going to get humbled in the league pretty quickly. Do I think he could be a really good player? Of course I do. But I just think like once he gets hit by like a big like if Michael Parsons or Miles Garrett or like someone like that, like week one or whoever they play, he'll get humbled real quick. And he'll be
yeah,
like he'll snap himself back in when he figures out that he's not the best player on his team or not the best player in the league.
yeah, and like the examples of players that you brought up from the last class are a perfect example of the two ends of the spectrum of what happens after you get drafted. You have Bryce Young at the very end, who just absolutely plays with the worst team in the league and couldn't do
Yeah.
anything. Do
Yeah,
we
which
blame
isn't
it
his
on
fault.
him? Like, do we blame it on him? Do we blame it on his team? Whatever. Do we blame it on the coach? But overall, he did not have a good performance, regardless. And then you
Yeah.
have CJ Stroud, who is like become this immediate icon to the Texans. Like, he is their franchise quarterback now. He
Yeah.
is their highest selling jersey right now. Like, everybody is about CJ Stroud. So,
Mhm.
like, that's a perfect example of what really could happen. So
Yeah.
like I'm just curious because we've seen people who have won the Heisman in previous years. What the
What
actual
the
fuck? My phone just started playing by itself.
heck?
We've seen people in previous years that have won the Heisman that have fell off tremendously. I think
hmm
one that really sticks out in my mind is why am I blanking on his name right now?
There's a couple. There's Johnny Manziel. There's who
Perfect.
didn't pan
I'm
out in
talking
the end.
about crab legs, Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
That's a prime example of somebody who really came in thinking they were the shit. They kind of were, but they were also kind of shit. And now they're just complete shit. So it's like,
Yeah. I feel like perfect example of Caleb Williams is like if I can compare him to anything would be like a Baker Mayfield right now where he won the Heisman, thought he was like hot shit. And then in the NFL, it didn't really pan out for him immediately, and he got humbled very quickly. But he's been a consistently decent quarterback as of now, and I guess now he's a free agent, so no one really knows where he's going to go. But he had an all right past couple years, but nothing too special. And I think that just has a lot to do with his arrogance in college and just kind of maturing now and being like, okay, now it's more professional. Now I get it.
yeah, but like regarding the draft, I mean, we'll take a step back from Caleb for a minute, and talk about Ricky Pearsall, the
Yeah.
standout Gator, the one that everybody has their eyes on right now.
Mhm.
I believe he ran a 40 in like a 4.37 or something like that.
I think it was
Um,
4.37 unofficial, 4.41 official.
Okay,
But still
still pretty good. That's
fast
that's
for
pretty
a white
solid.
kid too. Fast.
And got 17 reps on 135. Got some strength on him. I'm curious to see, like, Hod, what round do you think we're gonna see Ricky Pearsall go in?
I think early second round. Um, I just think the wide receiver class this year is very deep. where I don't see him going in the first round because you have the Marvin Harrison, the Roma Duns, you have the Malik Neighbors of like the class who are kind of stand out, almost top 10 picks guaranteed. Um, but there's like five good receivers that are probably right now projected to go in the first round, where I could see a team that has like a high overall pick, such as like the Patriots or the Commanders or even like Chicago, like any of the top three, kind of getting him in the second round with that on their swing on like the 33rd, 34th, 30th pick, or teams even trading up to pick him because his tape is impressive and he has all the means and abilities to be a good slot receiver in this league, like a Cooper Cup, basically.
Hmm.
So,
I
yeah,
mean, yeah, they have
but
the exact same build. So,
yeah, I mean, they were comparing his build to Chris Olave, Ricky Pearsall. They basically had the side by side when I was watching him in the combine, and he basically has the same exact build as Chris Olave. And Chris Olave is a good wide receiver in the league, and he's a good slot guy. He's
yeah.
had hand issues, but otherwise, he's a good player. He's top almost, I would say, top 10 wide receiver if he's healthy. So hopefully Pearsall can turn into that. But I
I
feel like
mean,
we have to kind of circle back to Xavier Worthy because he kind of stole the show with a 4.22. I mean, that's ridiculous. He ran a 4.25 and was like, no, that's not quick enough, and just had to go out and pull the record. Like, ridiculous.
I mean, I was thinking about this whenever I saw that time. I was like, how fast could I realistically run a 40-yard dash? And
I've run one before, but this was in high school, and my quickest time was a 4.74.
okay, so we got that perspective. Hodska can run a 4.74.
In
I
my
think,
prime. That's when I was like running every single day, though, to be
okay.
fair. Like track, like running nonstop.
And running's in your blood. I mean, your dad's a fucking Iron Man, for Christ's sake. So,
Yeah. So
um, if I had to take a guess at how fast I think I can run a 40, I would say 7.2.
yeah.
I think 7.2 is a good time for me. I'm
I think
slow as fuck.
you can do quicker though. It's all about the start because if you look at the him and John Ross's comparison, who John Ross had the record of 4.22 and Xavier Worthy broke it by 0.01 seconds. Worthy got off the line in the first 5 yards and was already ahead of him. John Ross casually gained on him throughout the rest of the 40, but for the first 5 yards, Worthy was already basically too much ahead or so far ahead and just kept it and maintained it, where Ross kind of started out slow and then just built it up incredibly. Um, but I mean, those boys are fast.
That's nuts, bro. 4.2 is crazy.
Yeah. It's funny now too, because now there's the whole debate of like the track speed, because Worthy, I'm pretty sure it's either tied or just beat Usain Bolt's fastest 40-yard dash time. Um, which is nuts to think about in itself. Um, but now it's like all the sprinters are being like challenged to do it. And I know Christian Coleman, who's a sprinter for the US track national team and will be competing in this year's Summer Olympics for the 100, probably our fastest guy and our best shot to win the gold, was like, I think he was challenged. I think it looked like he was jogging and ran like a 4.13, which is just stupid to think about. And he's like, I think someone put on the line like 100 grand. I think it was Robert Griffin III bet him 100 grand that he can't go sub 4. And he was like, all right, bet. So that would be entertaining to watch if that happens. But it just goes to show how different like track speed is to NFL and any other sort of speed. It's uncomparable.
I think it's great though that the sports are kind of merging in a sense because I mean obviously the NFL is one of the biggest sports and sports industries in the world, but
Yeah.
track is pretty big, but that's if you're a part of that niche that really loves running. So like
Yeah.
I think it's good that they put these athletes up on a main stage instead of just the Olympics that most of these athletes have to wait for. They're kind of just getting their name thrown out because of, fast people in the NFL. I think that's pretty awesome. But I don't think, bro, you really think RG3 would drop 100 racks on some shit like that? I don't think RG3 has that money.
He said it on Twitter, so let's see if he put his money where his mouth is if Coleman beats sub 4.
He
So,
must be getting a shitload of money to be on TV if he's just gonna
I
throw
mean,
around.
he got a bag in the NFL. He's working for ESPN, so he's
True.
got money. he's got money.
True.
Um, endorsements and stuff. He was former Heisman winner. I mean, he's got to have some sort of money in his bank account. Or 100 grand means, I guess, a lot to him, but still chump change. Um, but I guess moving on from the combine, we kind of knew this was already coming, but Jason Kelsey officially retired on Monday. In his press conference, it was pretty emotional, but also good for him. He had a very decorated career in the NFL. Definitely will be a Hall of Famer. So congrats to him. You got any comments on that, Gary?
No, I was just laughing at the last part whenever you said he's definitely gonna be a Hall of Famer because I on Unbettable yesterday, I said that, and Mondo tore me a new asshole for it because he was like, "Of course he's going to Canton. Of course he's going to Canton." I was like, "Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, that's
Yeah,
like for me, like Jason Kelsey has done everything that you would want to do as an offensive center. The last
yeah,
thing he needs to do is just get put up in that wall, and then he's
yeah,
done. He is the epitome of like what it means to be a great center." And that's
yeah.
why I pointed it out yesterday because that was like the one thing I think he still needs to be there.
Too.
But
Yeah. Well,
Mongo's gonna say some shit about me regardless. So oh
yeah.
well.
Well, go catch up on Unbettable, the last episode, to hear Gary's opinions on that. Um, And then I guess in other terms, for the last wrap up of NFL, we have some free agency slash franchise tag um, moves, as today was the official last day to be able to place a franchise tag before the free agency starts. So some notable names that were tagged were Josh Allen of the Jacksonville Jaguars, not the Bills one.
Oh,
Brian Burns, Kyle Duggar for the Patriots, T. Higgins, that was kind of already known. Jalen Johnson was tagged today. Justin Madubuike of the Ravens, Michael Pittman, L'Jarius Sneed, Antoine Winfield. So those are kind of the headlines. More of the not tagged ones, the ones that kind of stood out were Calvin Ridley of the Jags, Saquon Barkley, a big one of the Giants, Christian Wilkins of the Dolphins. So there'll be some good free agents available. Good mix up to switch up the league. So excited for free agency to officially open. So once free agency opens, it's just chaos because that leads into the draft and all the trades, and it'll be fun. So
yeah,
exciting news for the NFL trying to start back up again, even though the season starts in 6 months.
I'm surprised that Saquon didn't get franchise tag. He's played most of his career as a Giant. Like I don't really know where else. Like I understand why you would not want to be a Giant anymore. I get it. But at the same time, it's like, what else do the Giants have? Like,
it it's the old debate of what's been happening in recent times of do you pay the running back or not? And Saquon, while he's still relatively young, I want to say he's probably 26, 27. I don't know if I'm going off the top of my head, which is young, but is he past his prime? Can he still do it? Is he worth the boatload of money that uh, it would cost to re-sign him? Is it worth it for the franchise that could just take a risk or sign someone for cheaper? I mean, we saw that this year with Derrick Henry, who's now going to be a free agent too. So those are the two big boys in terms of running backs. And I mean, there are definitely great options for them both. I've seen both of them linked to specifically Texas teams, Saquon with Houston and King Henry with Dallas, which would be very interesting for both teams. Um, but yeah, be interesting.
Dallas has the money for it too. That would be
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I hope I want to see Saquon in the backfield with CJ Stroud. I think that would be like electric too. King
I mean,
Henry would have
both of
loved.
those guys just deserve better. I mean, they're too good to be in the position they're in.
Yeah. I mean, King Henry is definitely older. I feel
Oh
like
yeah.
he's trying to go somewhere where he has the best chance to win, and that will pay him.
Yeah.
And that's probably right now Dallas. As sad to say it is. Um, that in terms of teams needing a running back that are willing to pay. So, but hey, excited for free agency to start. Um, I guess over to the NBA. Big one was LeBron. He finally reached 40K points. Um, all he needed was 9 points on the game on Sunday. He got it with ease. I think in the second quarter it cashed. So good for LeBron. No one's ever done 40,000 points before. He's the first. Now I think he's got over like 60K total points, rebounds, and assists, which is just unfathomable. Um, but yeah, I still think he's not as good as Jordan, but hot take, but is it?
No, no, it's not. I was hoping you were gonna say that. I mean, LeBron, the accolades, they're there. He's decorated. He's five-star general. Man has averages a triple double for his career. That's a crazy stat line to hold. But at the same time, who do I think did more for the game of basketball overall? I'm definitely gonna give it to Michael Jordan. We hear about it all the time, like,
Mhm.
oh, LeBron is the GOAT. He did this and he did that, and MJ can't even compare. Like, let's think about basketball as a sport for a second. Those guys back then are the reason that we have the guys that we have today, and the
Yeah,
respect for the guys that we have today. LeBron,
yeah,
or not LeBron, Michael Jordan. I mean, first of all, he's a billionaire. I mean, so is LeBron, but
yeah.
revolutionized not only the game of basketball, but the shoe of basketball.
Yep.
Uh, I mean, won multiple championships, played with some of the other best players to ever do it. Like, I just think the time, especially the time in which Michael Jordan played, was completely different. There wasn't a foul every single call. Like you had the ball to like, be a good player. So I think MJ is still the GOAT, but I guess comment who you think is the GOAT.
Yeah. And speaking of GOAT status, I mean the women's college basketball GOAT, Caitlin Clark, officially declared for the WNBA draft. Good for her. I mean, obviously she's gonna be the number one pick. I feel like that's the biggest shoo-in of the century, more than Caleb Williams. Um, but I'm just curious to hear your thoughts. I know we touched on it in a prior episode, but do you think she would make more money in terms of endorsements if she stayed in college one more year or her first year in the WNBA? Because obviously, like the paycheck's going to be different because she'll actually be on a salary in the WNBA rather than in college. But the endorsement lane for college is so much more than the WNBA, even though she's already signed with Nike and all these big brands.
Okay, so a couple things about Caitlin. The minute she declared that she wanted to go to the NBA, the WNBA tickets for Indiana tripled, I saw,
Yeah.
which is crazy. They're now like $1.30 a pop, which is pretty
Nuts.
pricey for a WNBA game, but people will play it to see this lady play. I mean,
Yeah.
Caitlin is a hooper. Like, she is really fucking good at her sport. And that's why I think that even though maybe the upfront endorsement money she could have collected her final year could have been greater than maybe what she's going to get paid her first year in the WNBA is, I
Mhm.
think it's smarter for her to go to the WNBA because the promotions and endorsements she's going to be receiving from there are going to be more long term. You know what I'm saying? So, for example, she's sponsored by Nike. I would almost put $1,000 on it that Nike is in the process of developing Caitlin Clark's first shoe.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Because with her being this decorated athlete and then her inspiring other girls to want to go play basketball, every girl is going to be wearing a motherfucking Caitlin Clark shoe. So
Oh yeah.
that's where I'm at, and that's why I think that maybe she took the WNBA route. I mean, she's proven it to everybody in college that she is worthy of getting there. Might as well take your shot and go. So that's how I feel about it.
I agree too, because the endorsement terms, she'll make a lot. I'd say she'd make more money in one year, maybe in college, but it'd be with a lot of high-end brands like Nike or companies like that, but and also a lot of short-term ones that are just local to University of Iowa and like small market ones. Whereas in the WNBA, she'll just make bag off bag off bag of big game companies, and that'll be more long-term and stable. So,
And it's guaranteed. That's
oh
also the
yeah,
difference. So
yeah.
good
So,
for her, bro. Honestly.
yeah,
Way to
yeah,
change the sport. She's one of those athletes that I'm looking forward to see what she does with her professional career and how she sort of changes the WNBA. Will she be the reason the WNBA is finally out of debt to the NBA? We'll just have to wait and see. So
yeah. Um, yeah, crazy. Speaking of crazy, I don't know if you heard about this, but in terms of professional soccer, there's an athlete. that played in Europe. His name's Paul Pogba. He's pretty popular. He's just been suspended by UEFA for 4 years for performance enhancing drugs, which is unheard of in the sport of soccer, especially professional. And Pogba was a very good player. If I were to compare him to an US player, it'd be almost like an Odell Beckham Jr. type player. Like started out his career flashy, like very good, very quickly, one of the best talents, center mids in the world at his peak. And then kind of injuries kind of derailed him. He got unhappy, kind of moved teams, um, never really fit in, got hurt again, and now is just basically canceled, which sucks for him because he was so talented so quickly and it just all went downhill, which is tough to see, especially because growing up, he was the one that had the crazy hair. He had like like every game he'd show up with like a different color mohawk, and he had his cleats were the sickest cleats. Like as a soccer player growing up in like 2015, 2016, when I was in high school, I wanted the cleats that he had because his cleats were sick. Um, but yeah, it's tough to see. I'm curious to see who else in terms of the sport because no one really ever obviously they get tested every day and just like professional athletes do over here, but nothing's ever really come from it. This is the first time we're hearing of this severity in terms of soccer, which is kind of crazy. And we haven't even heard of anything like that. 4 year sentence over here in the States. It's nuts.
No, yeah, I mean, 4 years in a sport is essentially a life sentence, bro.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like let's think about like the average career length of like an NFL player for an example. Like, that's usually a year to two, 1 year to 2 years. They are not all there for millenniums like most people think.
Yeah.
So 4 years to be taken away from your sport
Mhm.
is really long. And like I don't really know how old he is, but from what you're
He's
talking about, he's been playing since you were 16.
yeah,
So he's got some
it-
age on him.
he's 30. So he'll be next eligible to play when he's 34. And as a center mid box to box, there aren't too many of those playing at 34 at that high of a level in terms of professional soccer anymore, unless you're insanely good, which he was, but now is not playing in comp for 4 years is really gonna derail him. But
Yeah, I mean that's ridiculous. For I mean PEDs, yes. Like I feel like every sport should take action on them. I think the only league that really doesn't is the UFC.
mhm.
But I that's unfortunate. I mean, we've had athletes in recent history that got suspended for PEDs, but it wasn't nearly as long as that. One that really sticks out to me was Tatis, who
Yep.
had to sit out, I believe it was like 80 games or something like that. Like, but that's
Essentially
baseball.
half the
Like,
MLB season, yeah.
yeah, like baseball is like whatever. He's still sitting in the dugout, like shooting the shit. Like he's
Yeah.
still active in the sport. But like soccer, where you're like constantly moving and like, there's no way he's gonna train every day for those 4 years that he's out.
Oh
So
yeah. No,
that's
he can't be like with the team. I don't think he can get paid from the team. So it's just it's a tough scenario, basically. I don't know what else to talk about it or say. So,
sucks.
yeah. I guess moving on, there's a pretty big golf tournament formerly known as the Honda Classic, now the Cognizant Classic, this weekend in South Florida. Gary, you want to take it away? Because I'm sure you know it better than I do.
To keep it a buck, I didn't watch it much. I'm kind of stupid and didn't realize that this was the rebranded Honda Classic. I thought I was like cognizant. I've never heard of this. This must be some stupid ass tournament. But there were a lot of big name players that participated in this tournament, but who ended up finishing up top was not a big name player at all. Mr. Austin Eckroat.
Mhm.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I've never heard of him before.
Me
Nah,
either.
I can't really think of anything that involves his name. But good for him. This is one
Yeah.
of those things that I was talking about before the PGA Tour really kicked off this year is I'm looking forward to seeing these random people win these tournaments now that a lot of big name people have migrated over to live.
Mhm.
And I think it's good. Because, like I said, I'd never heard of him before this, but now I know his name. And now
Yeah.
throughout the season, I'll be looking for his name because he just won a tournament. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So good for him. I want to say it was like a $2 million payday, something like that. So that's awesome and congrats, bro.
Yeah. I feel like, especially this year in the PGA Tour, I feel like no big name has won yet besides Hideki. But every other name has been kind of smaller or like guys you've heard of, but you wouldn't really expect them to win, especially if they're competing against some of the best in the world that are playing in some of these events. Granted, they're not playing in every single one. Um, but like, yeah, it's just kind of cool to see the new age golfers, and these guys they're good.
Yeah, and that's the exciting part about the PGA. I mean, me and Mondo kind of argued about this yesterday with like what can the PGA do to compete with Live, and I think that they're just competing in a different aspect with bringing in this new talent and introducing this new talent to the world. And
Mhm.
like, yeah, Live like has all these big name players, but before they became big names, they were people like Austin Eckroat on the tour. So
Yeah.
like it's interesting to see how people develop through the tour and who becomes who and like I don't know, this could be the start of something big, who knows, but I was also super happy to see Hideki win. That was a big
Yeah.
one for me. Um
Yeah.
but yeah.
It's also cool, like with the live tough stuff too. I mean, what Lives had was I want to say this was like their second or third event, and Joaquin Neiman's won what, two of them already, and he's just been insane. I know he won again this past weekend. I know he shot 59 in the first event. I mean, good for him too. I've never really heard of him before he moved to live.
Because he was a
Um,
bum.
yeah.
Like
So
that, that's the crazy part to me about Liv is you're like, yeah, you're competing with some of the older guys, but like, bro, there's like DJ,
yeah.
there's now John Rahm is there now. Like these are people who like know their shit. Like so
They're
it's
good. They're
weird to
good.
like see the winners of like these tournaments come out.
Mhm.
But
Yeah. In
but
terms of the
next
team aspect too, it's like I know, like I'm assuming like most casual golf fans would know like at least two players on each team for live, and then the other two guys on the team. I have no idea. Like when I was watching last year live, I think it was Brooks's brother, and I was like, he has a brother and he's on live. Like I just had no idea. So it's just like random guys like that, but they're doing well in these tournaments too. So granted, those guys keep it up.
I'm
Make
excited
it.
to see next week we got players first major of the year. I'm excited to see that. I literally got offered free tickets, but I'm not going to be here because I'm going to be in spring break trip. So that kind of
And
blows. But
where's the spring break trip to?
it's this little place called Grant Reserve or Grant Island, just south of Melbourne.
Nice.
And we're staying in a house on a private island.
That sounds pretty dope.
Yeah, I'm excited. We got like they offer like kayaks and like jet ski and a boat and shit. So like I'm excited to see how it goes. We'll see.
Solid. Yeah, that sounds fun. I wish I had spring break again. That would have
Yeah,
been.
it's my last year of it.
Yeah, even though I basically have spring break in like 2 weeks because I'm going on a trip, but oh well.
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, except this time for my spring break, I get paid to do it, so that's at least
That's awesome. That's awesome.
that's at least nice. But I don't have too many more of those days after this, so
That's an L.
give some to take some. But yeah, I guess we'll segue into the draft. Are we gonna wait up for Mondo? Um, so yeah.
We'll be right back.
Recording in progress. We are back. I am finally back on the episode after that long drive home. Had to grab some food on the way. You know how it is, busy, busy. But today's draft is the best foods while drunk. So it's not like a specific restaurant. I mean, it could be like an item from there, but like it's basically more general in terms
Yeah.
of what you want to eat. With that being said, 3 people, 5 rounds, 15 picks. On paper, or at least in your mind, it would seem easy. But as you start researching, Hod and I have found that it is a lot harder to find some different shit.
Well, it's
So
not that hard. It's just like we were talking about it off camera, where we have like a list of like 10, say. I know 9 out of my 10 are gonna get taken in the top
yeah,
three. So it's just struggling to find some late round gems, come up with some shit on the fly.
yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll play it as we go. But there's only one way to start this shit off. Put them up. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. All right, Hod, you choose.
I'll take I'll give Gary first, Mondo second, me third.
All right,
Me
Garrett,
first. What the
floor
fuck?
is yours.
So I'm gonna open up with I think that everybody at the University of Florida would agree with, and I'm gonna take pizza. Everybody knows pizza by the slice. It's an absolute staple in Midtown. Um, and it gets you right. But if you do decide to throw up pizza by the slice, I will
That
let you know
hurts.
right now it is the worst feeling in the entire
It
world.
hurts. It hurts bad. I remember at one point, Lip Hot and I were going out, and we would walk home with a giant pizza, like a 22-inch pizza, carrying it on our heads, like we just got back from war, and this is our fucking treasure. And we would just sit in my room, we put on the TV, and we would house this entire fucking pizza. It was amazing, the shit that we would do to get some pizza.
Yeah, the best would always be when you go out with Greco, because Greco would just buy an entire pizza for himself and he just start handing out pieces. It was
Yeah,
the
That's
it was
such a
good
Greco
times,
thing.
man.
That's funny.
He'd be like, "Oh, you want?" He's like, "Oh, I'm leaving. I'm gonna go get some pizza." I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna finish this drink." I'd go out 5 minutes later, pizza would already be ready. I'm like, I'm gonna get some pizza." He's like, "Here, take some," and I'm like, "All right, free pizza
Yeah.
every time."
Mhm.
All right.
Um, my pick, I'm gonna go wings. I
Yeah.
feel like wings are a staple. I mean, no matter where you go to get them, beer's cold on tap. You know what I mean?
hmm Yeah, that's a solid one. My first pick, uh, I'm just gonna go with the staple, chicken tenders.
Yeah.
It's just routine. Especially now, I feel like it would be so dangerous for at least me now that there's a Cane's right across from Midtown.
Oh, bro,
If I was that was there when I was in
I'd be
college, oh my
disgusted with myself.
God. I'd go there every night. Um, and then my next pick is arguably my favorite drunk food. Doesn't feel good, especially the next morning, but tacos.
Yeah, I like that. Um, I'm gonna go. I feel like the big ones are kind of off the board. I'm gonna take a burger. I feel
Yeah,
like just fucking juicy ass burger. You eat that shit, bro. Like your stomach's gonna be struggling, but damn, that was worth it. You know what I mean?
yeah, I feel you.
Gary.
My next pick, I think is some people will agree with this, some people disagree with it. McDonald's fries. Um, when you're fucked up and just the salt hits your lips, it's a good feeling. Gets you even more dehydrated than you already were, but you can wash that down with a nice McDonald's Sprite. So I'm gonna go with McDonald's fries. And my next pick is gonna be pasta. Pasta of
Like,
any sort, like whatever sort of dish. It's a little heavy on your stomach, but at the same time, like if I could sit down to like a nice plate of like spaghetti with like a shitload of parm on it after I go out one night, I'd fuck it up.
I feel like for me, I have to be a different kind of drunk with pasta. Like I feel like that's like a staple wine drunk kind of food.
yeah.
I don't know. I've thrown up pasta one too many times after binge drinking, and it's just not it's not worth it. It feels like there's fucking like tentacles coming out your throat. It's not a good time.
I think the last time I
But
had pasta drunk was when we lived in the house, just because there'd be just trays of ziti in the fridge.
Bro,
I'd come to it and be like, "Yep."
the sanitary level in the house was next to none. You would have trays of 3-day old food that's been half covered. The fridges would be left open. Didn't matter. You would walk straight in the house. You would start shoveling with the big spoon,
Oh
just
yeah,
straight into your mouth. Everyone would gather around and just start shoveling shit in. It was so gross. Like looking back, I don't know how the hell we did that.
yeah,
But like at the time, it seemed like the most logical thing to do every time.
yeah.
The fucking house
Yeah.
bathrooms were like war rooms after we went out
Oh,
the next
bro,
morning.
they were disgusting. It was awful. It whether it was someone passed out on the ground after a tailgate or like someone shitting themselves because they ate some 4-day old chicken masala
Yep.
that just like tried to fucking kill you. Like it didn't matter, bro. Those bathrooms were disgusting.
Good times, man. Those are the glory
Bro,
days.
like I always say, it took years off our lives, but it was so much fucking fun to just be a degenerate for those years. It just like I just know like I'm gonna die early and I'm just gonna pinpoint, be like, yep,
That's
it was living right there. That's where it happened. Is it my turn? I
it
forget.
is. Yep.
I am gonna go with the classic post tailgate staple, and that is a hearty meal from Chipotle.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like every tailgate for the most part ended in that perfect time zone. Chipotle, you'd order, be there in 30 minutes. The driver would have no clue where you were. So you'd have to send a search party for him because you couldn't walk out there.
Hmm.
I feel like after every tailgate, I got Chipotle. I think like it was just like the always the move. It was always available. Everyone loved it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's like a classic staple for me. If I didn't feel like sitting on the toilet for 8 hours.
Yeah. Um, my next pick, I'm gonna take it to more of I feel like we've done all kind of bigger items in terms of um entrees. I'm gonna do kind of a side or a snack. I'm just gonna take a bag of chips. I mean,
Love it.
I could munch. I think there was one time where I was like so drunk. I think I ate 2 bags of cracked salt and pepper chips.
It happens, man. You don't realize it until you're done, and it you don't really care until you get that one stomach grumble,
Yeah,
and then you know you're in trouble. That's it. That's what it hits every time.
yeah. Um, and then my next pick, this is more kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say it's my go-to unless I'm at a sporting event, but a drunk hot dog at a sporting event is nice.
Yeah. Um.
Like I said, I wouldn't get it, like it wouldn't be my first choice if I was just going out, but if I was like
Mhm.
tailgating and then like drunk going to the game, just a hot dog will be just
Yeah.
fine.
No, I 100% get that. Um. I don't know if this is a problem or not, but most meals I feel like that you get after a tailgate, like a staple part of that would be the French fries, just like generally French fries.
Mhm.
I
I
said
mean, Gary,
McDonald's fries.
yeah, Gary kind of took the French fry route.
All right, I can change it up. I'll go nachos.
Nachos is a good pick.
Make sure Gary's is just fries then.
It is.
No,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, you can't just say McDonald's fries and then block off the whole fry
You know what?
category.
Gary, for the graphic, I'll put French fries, but as the picture, I'll put McDonald's fries.
All
How
right,
about that?
bet.
You've done enough of
So,
these.
huh?
You've done enough of these. You know how this shit works.
For my next pick, I'm gonna have to go with a good bowl of Sagan.
Sagandi's nuts.
Ah, fuck, man. I thought
Hey guys, look, Gary's got the humor of a second grader.
I was.
Ladies, if
I
that's
saw
your man right
Han
there, go
like
get him.
looked. Han looked at his camera. And was like, that was funny as fuck.
Ladies,
At
he's
first, I couldn't
single.
tell what you heard, and then I was just like, I'm not gonna say anything because I know what this is.
Mhm.
all
You
right,
should
so
you should make that his pick.
nuts. Nah, for my next pick, this is also another Midtown staple, but a good sub, specifically from Wawa. I'm just gonna
Oh, he
say
doesn't
sub.
know, Hod. I
What?
I know
forgot he doesn't
about
know.
Big Hogan's or whatever the fuck it was called,
Larry's?
or Larry's. Yeah. Well, there's also another. There's a place that I will go to down 13 called Hogan's, and it's really good too.
You don't know Larry's.
If you, I mean, that's crazy.
I
Yeah.
forgot
That's
about that.
Chi-Fi lore.
Honestly, that's a great pick because the amount of times I went to happy hour and then just got a Larry's
Yeah.
lunch. Oh my God.
So sub.
Yeah.
And my next pick is gonna be a good bowl of dip. Like whatever dip you want, like sour cream and onion dip, cheese dip, like
Oh,
chips and dip.
All right.
I was waiting for like, yeah, wintergreen,
Yeah.
spearmint. Like, I was like, I see it, but like, why?
I was just waiting him for to drop like sour cream and onion, like nacho cheese, Copenhagen.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I don't know.
Sorry.
This is a good pick.
Um, my next pick is this my last pick?
This is your last pick.
Oh shit. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, bro. I'm a fat ass. I will smash a whole tray of cookies if they are
God
left out and
damn
I'm
it.
shit faced. You leave out Oreos, I will smoke a whole sleeve like it is nothing. Uh Cookies while you're hammered, even McDonald's cookies, they're hot, they're gooey. I remember Pacheco and we used to go and do that all the time.
Yeah,
We, bro, McDonald's cookies are fire.
that was my pick. I'm kind
Sorry,
of,
Hod.
yeah, I thought I could get it, but oh well.
Cookies, really?
Dude,
I mean, no, I
trust.
don't disagree with it. I'm surprised both of you were gonna say it. Like, I don't know.
If there is one dessert I get drunk, it is a cookie.
Yeah,
I
Okay.
don't know why. It slaps and it tastes so much better. And yeah, just a cookie.
yeah. With my last pick, I'm just gonna throw it back to junior year, where I
Uh-oh.
get fucked up at my house in Gainesville with some of the boys, and we just throw a fuck ton of pizza bagels in the oven.
The staple, bro. You get done throwing out or taking a piss outside, you'd walk in and it just smell like pizza.
It was great.
You're like, there's nothing in the oven. It's just fucking pizza bagels.
It was,
Everyone's eating them.
dude, the little bagel bites too. It was the perfect size. You can house like 20 of those things and be like, all right, I'm chilling.
Bro, I'm telling you, once we get to the point where we do this for a living,
Mhm.
we will share some crazy ass stories, like shit that you wouldn't believe. But like, there's some crazy times in there. Just talking about the food alone is like bringing so many memories up.
Yeah. All right. To recap, Gary, you have pizza, French fries, pasta, subs, and dip. Mondo, you got wings, burger, chipotle, nachos, and cookies. I got chicken tendies, tacos, chips, hot dog, and pizza bagels.
Love it.
So we salvaged it. I think we did
We
well.
did. I think we delivered
You got any honorable
at that.
mentions now?
Oh, I've got a couple.
All right.
So let's
Gary?
start with the staples. I mean, a classic sandwich. There's nothing wrong with that,
Mhm.
especially if you're on broke boy hours. A sandwich works.
Mhm.
Now let's move into the staples. buffalo chicken mac and cheese.
Oh yeah.
We got
Oh, shut
buffalo
the
chicken
fuck up.
sliders. We
Shut
got
up.
ham and cheese sliders. We got basically, and you could put a subcategory, anything that Trina makes because you're too broke to go buy food, so you have to eat what's in the fridge is its
Yeah.
own category.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw out tater tots as an honorable mention.
Yeah.
There's this bar that's in my hometown that you go out, and one time I ordered tater tots and I saw $7 for tater tots. And I'm like, what the hell?
That's no.
I paid for them. It was an entire tray of tater tots.
Ooh.
Like I'm talking about like probably like as big as like a laptop screen, just filled with tater tots. It was honestly like
That's
great. I was like $7. You got to be kidding me. And then I saw, I was like, oh my God.
it's worth it.
Yep. I'm also gonna throw out brownies.
Yeah.
Brownies are solid. They're good and they're pretty filling.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I want to say Mondo's take of buffalo mac and cheese is probably the worst thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. Here's my backing though. You were either a lover of buffalo mac or you were a hater. And I was a bona fide hater of buffalo mac. I did not like it.
Well, tell them why, Gary.
It just wasn't good. First of all, the chicken that was in
Gary
it
would
was not
shit
good.
himself every time he had buffalo chicken mac and cheese. That is why he hated it, because he
Yeah.
had to pop pills like Percocets to make sure that he's not shitting his britches by the time dinner's over.
I am a big shitter. I do shit a lot. Buffalo Mac definitely made me shit a lot. But for my actual picks, you can put that quote on a wall. But for my actual picks, I'm gonna take ramen. Again, if you're on the broke boy hours, ramen will be there to save you.
Always.
And my next pick, which is my last one, that is kind of on the same line of pizza bagels, I'm gonna go pizza rolls. Pizza rolls are like, bro, if you live here in the South, like if you go to Publix like every other week, Publix has pizza rolls, buy one, get one, and I take advantage every time. So yeah, pizza rolls.
Bro, high key barbecue. Barbecue would slap.
Barbecue slabs, but it gets to the point where it's like, if you want good Texas barbecue, you want it to be like sober because it's such a treat. If it's left,
Yeah.
then I give it to you, but you can't have too much. I feel like, and if I want barbecue, I need to like prep myself in advance. Like, okay,
I feel that. I agree with that actually. And another way to look at like drunk food is just like a concoction of ingredients that I think would sound good together and I make and eat it.
oh yeah,
Like that's just like another category in itself where it's just like you pull this, and this, and you're like, fuck it. Like we'll see what happens there.
it's the one where you go to your fridge and you're like, all right, what's in here? And you're like, all right, what can I cook out of this?
Usually it's like that's the final piece of the puzzle that I need to projectile and just get it out of my system.
So
Good times, man.
yeah, glory days.
Yeah. Like I said, if you guys keep helping us grow and we can make this our living, we will share all these stories. Well, most of the stories.
Some
Some
of
could
them.
get us arrested, but most of the stories.
So yeah, solid episode.
Yeah, like I said, sorry I couldn't get on earlier, boys. I couldn't get away from the event. And then it was like I was at the point where I was just like, you know what, I'll just stay. I'll kind of talk to the guy, pick his brain, and
Yeah,
just work my way through it. So
it's a cool opportunity anyway.
yeah.
So
But yeah, that'll do it for today's episode. If you did enjoy, please make sure to like, subscribe, share with everyone you know. We will see you guys on the next episode where Beav will be back on the camera. Peace.